of the vital functions of the United States government is to establish and maintain diplomatic relations with other countries. In every friendly and civilized nation in the world, there is an American embassy or legation. Whether it is Paris or Cairo, Shanghai, or any other remote outpost, the most reliable and confidential means of communication is the courier service. Armed only with his passport, the courier, like a global postman, delivers the top secret dispatches of our government. Husband.
Name?
Stephen McQuinn.
Profession?
Diplomatic courier.
On the tip of the South China island of Hongshan lies Macao, founded 4 centuries ago. A dozen square miles and 500,000 humans under the precarious protection of the Portuguese flag. On the border is the last hole in the bamboo curtain, the Porto do Cerco, the barrier gate. Scanty 30 feet through which Red China imports strategic goods and information, and pays off in rice and tea and drugs.
Why you're here, Steve?
Dan Brown?
Commodore's a pretty sick man. He only has a few months left.
Dan swore he'd never go back. You know how he feels about his father.
And you know how the department feels about the Commodore.
Oh, sure, he's a great man.
Well, that's the assignment. It's not easy. Dan Brown has to be taken back to San Francisco. And I won't be sorry to see him go.
You know where I can find him?
Try the superintendent of police, Cesar. He usually knows where Dan Brown is.
All right, I will. Thanks.
Ruby Chin, how's Mother Charity today?
Poor old Dan. Someday you will earn a fool's fate.
Well, I'll start worrying about that when you can find another greaseball who can float your fleet of coffins.
That day may come sooner than you think.
What, are you sore about the Lowe's Blossom?
To lose a motorboat and a cargo of valuables is not a matter to be treated lightly.
I'm into that. I almost ended up with your cargo and navigator. Shark food. Fortunately, Ruby, the fog was as thick as your skin. All right, so you didn't send for me to discuss ancient history? What do we smuggle this trip? Another load of coolie mud to Hong Kong?
I will send for you when another cargo is ready.
What's this, car fare home? I thought I didn't get a bean if the stuff didn't get through.
Consider it a small advance on your next assignment.
Thanks. Ruby?
That is your man. You understand what you are to do, Mr. Boca?
Yeah.
This will pass you through the communist guards at the barrier gate.
And my fee?
Mr. Brown will be carrying it. I have given him a little money. Not enough to satisfy his needs, but just enough to send him to Macao. Go and wait there.
There he is. You will excuse me if I wait here. I see enough of Mr. Brown in my official capacity.
Hi, Dan.
Steve McQuinn.
How are you, Dan?
Well, great, just great. What are you doing in Macau?
Well, I was in Hong Kong delivering a satchel full of hush-hush mail, so I took the ferry over here to look you up.
Well, hey, boy, you look wonderful.
Well, thanks, Dan. So do you.
Anna. This is an old friend of mine, Steve McQuinn. Madame Anna Dmitrievna Semyonova, an exiled Russian princess, they say.
Danforth, you must stop circulating that ridiculous rumor. Good evening, Mr. McQuinn.
Good evening, madam.
Steve, how long has it been?
Oh, December 1942, when you swapped your diplomatic passport for a first mate hat and a Liberty ship.
Yeah. What's on your mind, Steve?
On my mind?
Oh, come on, you didn't come down to this sinkhole to cut up old capers. Not with Lacerda in tow.
I saw the Commodore last month in San Francisco.
Oh, is the old gent still using a steel ball for a heart?
He's sick, Dan. Very sick.
Bad?
He's slipping fast. He's got about a month. I'm leaving for San Francisco tomorrow. Will you come back with me?
I don't smoke. I got out of the habit hauling high explosives during the war.
How about it, Dan?
I can't. But thanks for going to the trouble, Steve.
I can't believe it, Dan.
Look, just tell the Commodore you couldn't find me.
But, Dan, your father's very...
Steve, it's been nice seeing you.
Now, look, Dan.
Steve.
I'm sorry your reunion with your friend was unsuccessful. But it is no more than I expected.
I don't understand it. Dan Brown was the bright young man of the department, a guy with an assured future. What happened to him?
You have not been told?
Told what?
I am stupid. Of course, they would not want to dredge up the past.
What do you mean, dredge up the past?
The shipping board inquiry. It happened shortly after the Allies recaptured Hong Kong. Dan Brown was first officer on a vessel bound for Canton. It carried a cargo of small arms, desperately needed by Chiang's armies. 100 miles south of here, in the dead of night, the ship went aground. Communist guerrillas were waiting on shore. Only 3 of the crew escaped alive. The cargo went to the guerrillas.
What's all this got to do with Dan?
He was in command when the vessel went aground. He was found guilty of criminal dereliction and sent to prison.
No wonder he doesn't want to go home. He can't face the Commodore.
Could you? If your father was the Commodore?
Poor guy.
When he came out of prison, he drifted here. In Macao, there are many diversions for a man haunted by his past.
Well, there must be something we can do to help Dan.
It is hopeless, believe me. He's a man bent on his own destruction. A dead man.
Be sure and holler when you've had enough, Ma Chang.
My poor bank entirely at your disposal, Mr. Brown. If I love.
Well, you can always tell a winner at Ma Chang's table because he's always had a glass full.
Hey, Dan.
Well, you back? What took you so long, fella?
A slow rickshaw.
Why don't you help me bust this fat slick? He's loaded and I'm hotter than a Chinese firecracker.
Look, pick it up. Let's get out of here.
What, and quit when I'm winning? Get lost.
Come on, we got a plane to catch. I'm not going to let you rot in this sinkhole, Dan. You got too much to live for.
Yeah, and I got more to die for.
I'm not going back without you.
McQuinn, why don't you
Oh, listen to me. Wait a minute.
Why bother to count them? You can't beat me tonight.
3.
What'd I tell you, Princess?
The bank is closed.
Hey, what's the idea? You can't quit on me now.
The bank is closed, Mr. Brown.
All right, so there's other Fantan joints.
Go home, Dan. You have won enough.
Now's no time to quit, Princess. I'll go down to Charlie Wu's and bust his joint next.
Mr. Boca will accompany you to his establishment.
What, are you kidding? I don't need a bodyguard.
I must insist, the honor of my house requires you be given safe escort.
Anything to satisfy the honor of the House of Chang. Here you are, Princess. Oh, now, was I too proud to come to you and all the times my luck went sour? Good night, Princess.
Be careful. Dan, be careful.
Look, I've got to catch that ferry.
I'm sorry, Mr. McQuinn, but I must detain you.
What's the idea, Lacerda?
After we parted last night, you went back to Ma Chang's.
Well, that's no reason to blow the whistle on me. I went back to get another crack at reasoning with Dan Brown. Got clipped on the jaw for my trouble.
Yes, I know.
Well, look, I've got to catch that ferry.
Did you notice a man called Max Booker?
There goes my ferry. No, why?
I hoped you would give me a better description of Booker than Ma Chang did.
What's this all about, Superintendent?
Last night, Dan Brown was murdered. The body was found in our shark-infested harbor. Identification was impossible except by the victim's personal effects.
And you suspect this Boker?
Dan Brown left Ma Chang with 10,000 Macanese dollars. The money is missing, and so is the bodyguard.
Boker was bodyguarding Dan?
Ma Chang's insistence.
Well, that's one way for the house to recoup its losses.
I am investigating that possibility. Meanwhile, I thought you would want to notify Mr. Brown's family in America.
Yes. I'll cable them right away.
My lady will see you in a moment.
Thank you. How's she taking it?
He was her life.
Yeah?
I know what was said of him, but he brought happiness to my lady. And he loved her in his way. This is the one who wishes to speak with you.
My name is Steve McQuinn.
Welcome.
My lady understands your language, but her tongue is not yet educated to its harsh sounds. Speak to her, and she will answer through me. She is called Ming Shu.
I come to offer my deep sympathy, Ming Shu. Your husband was a very close friend, so I understand and share your loss.
先生你真係好心。
My lady say you are too kind.
I took the liberty of notifying his family in the United States. They cabled me back immediately. They asked that you allow me to take his body back to San Francisco for burial.
No, you cannot ask so much of her.
照佢啲父母嘅意思做啦。
What did she say?
Let it be done as his parents wish.
Thank you. There's a boat that leaves for America tomorrow. I have made all the necessary arrangements. I've notified the police and the customs officials. Your husband will be traveling under the seal of the American State Department.
呢個好高嘅榮幸，我好感謝。
It is a high honor, and my lady is grateful.
One more thing, Ming Shu. His passport. It must be returned to the State Department.
你去辦啦。
Follow me, please. Lady, I come in shame, with ashes in my heart.
歡迎你嚟馬爭。
A very pretty speech, Ma Chang.
Your thoughts accuse me unjustly, Mr. McQuinn. I have no need to recover temporary losses by violence. A token of my everlasting sorrow. $20,000, twice what your husband won at my table.
開聲，你攞呢啲錢用晒俾佢鬆喪，等佢落陰有榮興。
You do yourself credit. 多已經。
What was that all about?
My lady bids me to spend this for a great funeral, so her lord and husband may have much honor among the shades.
A $20,000 funeral?
I must go. There is much to arrange and little time. Take what papers you need and leave. The coffin will be brought aboard the ship before you sail.
Thank you.
Shu. Ming Shu. Ming Shu?
She's dead.
Ming Shu.
I found her like that just now. This vial.
Why did you not stop her?
Well, I couldn't. I was in there. Somebody clubbed me and stole her husband's passport.
His passport?
That's right. A U.S. passport is a very valuable commodity these days. Who are you?
Ruby Chen. Hoi Shen engaged me to make the funeral arrangements for Mr. Brown. I have knowledge of such matters and often assist those who have the means. We have passed the night hiring mourners and ordering what is decent and fitting. Everything is ready for the funeral procession.
Funeral procession?
To the boat. Hoi Shen tells me you are taking Mr. Brown back to America.
That's right. But first, I must notify the police about the passport.
Wait. Perhaps I can help. Give this to the rickshaw coolie at the gate. He will take you to the one who has the passport.
How do you know who stole it?
Because I understand why Ming Shu took her life. Not beside the man she loved, but here alone. It is demanded of her by tradition.
What do you mean?
There is no time for explanation. If you wish to recover the passport, you must hurry. I will notify the police to follow you.
Okay. Look, is that what it says here? This hotel? Anything else written on here? 9. Is that a room number? Room number 9. Not very hospitable, Madame Semenov.
What do you want?
Dan's passport.
What makes you think I have it?
Let's not fence with each other. May I have it, please?
I do not have his passport. Please leave.
Madam, I don't mean to be rude or to intrude on your privacy, but under the circumstances, I feel I must search your rooms.
Do not go in there.
Sorry you came here, Steve. Complicates everything. Anna, find a cab and meet us in the alley behind the hotel. As Mark Twain said, the news of my death is greatly exaggerated.
Danny boy, this is foolishness.
Be a princess and go along, will you?
Whose body did the police find, Dan?
Boker, an Occidental hatchet man imported from Hong Kong. He had no idea I'd seen him before. And believe me, I was ready for him when he tried to kill me. Sit down, Steve.
Why did you switch clothes and credentials, Dan?
I figured Ma Chang wouldn't bother to murder me for a lousy 10,000 Macanese dollars. No, Ruby Chen and Ma Chang are working on a big sneak this time.
What do you mean?
They're agents for a big smuggling syndicate. When they heard you were coming, they saw a chance to use you.
Use me?
Sure. Ma Chang lets me win a bundle of cash. Then he hires Bowker to murder me and disappear. The police think I'm just another robbery victim. When you hear about it, you cable my people. Naturally, they want my body shipped home. Ma Chang pays for a gaudy funeral for which only Ruby Chen knows how to arrange. Result? A sealed coffin is taken past San Francisco Customs. No one suspects that little old Dan Brown's been left behind in China, and that inside the coffin is something far more valuable.
Narcotics?
Worth a couple of million. To be exhumed after a decent interval by the San Francisco Syndicate's contact.
What's your angle, Dan?
I fly to the States, hijack the stuff before the San Francisco contact gets to it.
Oh. That's why you had to have your passport.
Sorry I had to clobber you, Steve, but you almost ruined everything.
You'll never get away with it, Dan.
Maybe. All I have to do is pass American customs in San Francisco before the news of my death fouls up my papers, so that... Take a look, Steve. It's my funeral. Chinese really know how to send a guy out in high style, don't they?
Dan, do you realize how many lives those narcotics will ruin? The stuff will be peddled mostly to kids. Haven't you got any conscience left?
Maybe I'll dump the stuff in the ocean, or maybe I'll sell it. I don't really care. The money doesn't matter much to me anymore. Just so long as Ruby Chen and Ma Chang are good and crossed.
Superintendent Lacerda was right. You're a dead man, Dan. You're dead inside. I think I knew it when I found Ming Shu this morning.
Leave her out of this.
It's a little late for that.
She's young. She'll find somebody else. A guy whose name isn't synonym for murder. I told her so last night.
You saw her last night?
She caught me getting my passport.
Oh. So that's why she did it. She couldn't stand losing you that way. Tradition.
What are you talking about?
She's dead, Dan.
You're lying. You're lying.
Ask her.
Let your gun fall to the floor, Mr. Brown.
You forgot to ask me how I knew to come here, Dan. Ruby sent me. Only she didn't tell me you were alive. I don't suppose you bothered to call the police.
Unexpected resurrection forced change in plan, but we are now ready to offer you proposition.
What is it?
You escort coffin to San Francisco. My man meet you there. He pay you $100,000.
Your idea, Dan, with a minor revision.
What happens to him? You got a deal.
Nice going, Dan.
I'm sorry, Steve. When a man has sunk as low as I have and become what I am, what did you expect? Anyway, I'm a dead man, remember?
I thought you might forget to call the police, so I phoned them from the lobby.
I underestimated you, McQuinn.
You underestimated him, too. Your friend is dead, Mr. McQuinn. Yeah.